that. They had similar things in Monster Hunter where everyone had to have already seen the cutscene before you could skip it.
Yep.
Or like whatnot. There was yeah, makes sense. Right, okay, I'm getting ready. Let's do it. Let's see how. Hopefully the timer will start correctly here. It should do. I left it all set up from yesterday, so.
My timer has started.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep, same. We're good.
All right.
Cool. Okay, let's remember the buttons. See, L bumper, B is dash. Dash.
I've changed off of Jack's appearance now, so that my soul bursts are quicker.
Oh, okay.
So I forgot to do that yesterday.
Okay. Oh god, yeah, this game and this frame rate, I forgot. Like, is it any help for me to mash this down as well, or?
Probably just
No, or...
fights the enemies. I guess. I mean, at that point there, I didn't do all the throws on it I needed to do, so it worked out fine because one of my stone throws got blocked for some reason.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, am I helping on those, or am I just there wasting my time?
I think for the most part for yourself is like we're gonna go and get the mage's weapon. As soon as we get that, then start just kind of getting what XP you can, just to make sure you guarantee getting that mage's part down.
None of them wanted to give me a fire. Battle settings, and it's swordsman mage.
Yep, that's it. I'm actually gonna do it just a slow way, just so it's done.
Wait, if you are bumper, it's already. Oh no, maybe that's you. That's why. I was like, wait, it's already done, but I was scrolling you. Swordsman mage. Okay, a little bit slow this time. Just getting used to how the menu works there.
Yeah, so if you take that mage's class into that next room with the wolves and just try and take out those, I think that's like probably the first point really to get some XP. Yeah.
God, this game is running tankier on my system today. Like worse, I mean.
Can we solve this? Let me. What? Worse? How? Also, you don't need to make sure you're a mage there because you're already doing fights elsewhere, which will even cover the XP for you.
Yeah, I've just got job level up.
Sweet.
I'm catching, don't worry, I'm not far behind. I'm just starting that pillar run now after the soul burst there. Don't fall off, don't fall off, don't fall off.
And then like this part here, I'll go and get the key, take out some enemies as we go.
Right.
Just clear things out. More XP the better.
If I touch a save, it's going to teleport you, isn't it? Okay, I won't do that. I was just thinking, could I quickly touch the save and get a heal back? But it's fine, I can use potions.
God, it's nice.
I got slapped by a wolf actually, so...
I mean, he's going to catch up. That's the point, Reaper. This is the whole thing. I'm using my expertise in the run, and this is.
Well, so what we did, what maybe I did incorrectly yesterday.
I'm teleporting you up.
Yeah, I'm on the way anyway. What I did incorrectly yesterday as a brand new player was I tried to stay with Gordo too much, and we didn't like level me up enough. Like, I just stayed on his tail, and that's grand for going fast, but, you know, I still need to perhaps have a little bit more safety than he does. And the shorter legs, as Reeps rightly mentions, correct. I feel like we're going to do better today as well, just on the virtue of I've already played the game once, so that's already helpful.
Agreed. It's going to be a lot more synergy now. Like, yeah, you've now used the whole parry in that system, so you know it's not that bad.
Oh wow, that got me.
Oh, hey mate. I'm stuck in the corner.
So many tutorial pop-ups. Did I get you?
Yeah, we're all good.
Get him.
Switch to mage if you can.
Yep.
Sweet.
Battle settings.
You'll
I'm
get
on mage. I was on mage. I did the fighting mage.
Sweet. Oh, okay. I always do mine duelist just because weak spot's a strong move.
I'm not the main guy, so I don't need to worry about that. I can just slap him in the back with my R1, R2. So that's what my strat was. The RB, R trigger strat. It worked well.
You've got to make Garland your bitch. Oh, we will. Don't worry, Reaper. We will.
Easy. I mean, look, he's down. Before you finished typing that, the guy was dead.
Unfortunately, I got bodied in the corner a little bit. It's the only thing with sometimes the camera angle and these things. If you get caught in the corner, you disappear as a character. It turns into first person.
I thought Garland usually only lets you watch from the corner. That was nice of him to bully you.
I know, right?
Instead.
Trying to get back
shots. Solo Cornelia, right?
Yes, yeah. Progress test, all that. There is that one, and then there's the one at the bridge, and then you will get to Pravaka, and that's when we'll rejoin again.
Yeah, Reeps, I definitely did. It's better if you go in from behind, dude. I mean, it's better if you shoot him in the back. Like, it's better if you explode from. But
he likes taking back shots.
Sometimes you just got to unload on a guy, dude. You know.
Exactly.
You don't know that, Reeps. You can't prove it. You haven't seen me and Ada in the same room at the same time. I'm with her in spirit, all right? I'm kind of with Tiefs today because I'm wearing a Tifa t-shirt. Got the lucky Tifa t-shirt. That means guaranteed PBs, surely.
I mean, this is your return to a Final Fantasy game. It's been a while.
True. Oh, this is my second action fantasy because like 7 Remake was the first one like that. I'm on the main map again. Do you want a new journey?
Yep.
Do I have to do this one?
Next one, yeah. Go through to that one, and then you will get to Pravaka, and that's when we. So we're doing the we're doing the Final Fantasy 1 bit where the little talky parts now.
Yeah, that's it. I forgot how many parts there were. Cinders, how you doing? Welcome on in. Hope you're having a good evening. Oh, I didn't press A. I thought it would auto-load. Whoops. Damn it.
It's all good. It's all good.
We're still like a minute ahead because of the fact that I did the first Cornelia part like a minute or two faster because I knew that I had to do it. So we're already on gold splits. It's fine.
Yeah.
Especially that Garland as well. Like I think the Garland went bad yesterday.
It did.
Memed you a little. Been a busy one. Hope you're good. Yeah, I'm busy but also good, Cinders. We're back at it again today.
And don't forget to unlock your white mage class, and then change your move at the bottom to aftershock. If you remember all that
white
part.
mage aftershock. Yep. I'm on the world map again now. So Journey Begins is the next mission.
Yep.
So now I do the unlocking, right?
That's right.
White mage. Job trees. Okay. And white mage is right down the bottom on the right, I think. Yes, I remembered.
Quick question: who's cooler, you or Gordo? That's.
He's cooler. I'm hotter.
Dealer's choice, really.
Wait, shit, what did I just do? That was the wrong one. White mage. And then command abilities. No. Combo abilities, third one from the bottom. Is that right?
Yes, combo ability, that one. Then it's your triple RBR trigger.
Yeah, Stormbreaker, and it was to Aftershock.
Yes.
Yep, got it.
I mean,
is there anything else? Command abilities on this or no?
Nope, no, nothing yet. We haven't got any of those yet, so you're all good. So it's just white mage, that, we're good to go. I've sent you an invite as well.
There. Grabbing it now. Hopefully it doesn't invalidate where I have to kind of tab out, but I'm sure they can see, like, if anything, I'm showing the whole screen because I can't hide that. So
that's all good.
They have to, it's showing that I'm joining the legit game. I just don't like having to, like, tab away from it and the game isn't visible, but I can't avoid that right now because the way the setup that I'm on.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But, like, at some point we'll try and do these on, we can't do console, can we? Because of friggin'...
No, there's the wars of crossplay.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
Mm-hmm. It's an older game. It's like 2020. It's 22. So this is where we obviously cast Ace. I'll do it for a boat now anyway.
I'm getting myself set up with it just for the muscle memory.
That's fine. And then we're gonna run through here. In this part here, take whatever fights you want to take because this is a maze one. This is the one where it's hard. Who is raiding who? Commander Krim, you raided me. What did I do wrong? How did you end up here? Thank you for the raid. Gerald Pizza Thrower. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dark Killer, welcome in, welcome in.
Should I be on White Mage?
Yes.
To level that? Yeah, okay, I am.
Well, you know, just go on it to cast your haste, but try and level your duelist.
Okay.
Just because you... I mean, you can do it with that, because technically you'll get XP for it regardless.
Feels weird having to stop and take some fights, but it's for the good of the run. And I think I'm going backwards. I think I'm already lost anyway, so...
Bear with me, folks. I will greet you properly in just a moment. You've caught us in the midst of a co-op run here with the lovely XL.
Yeah. You join us currently. We are experiencing a Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin new game, cooperative, speedrun on the personal computer devices. Welcome on in, guys. Thanks for the raid. Sorry if we're not greeting you as promptly as we would like. Your raid is important to us. Please stand by.
So,
I think that sums it up.
That's basically it. Retired, a firefighter, welcome in, welcome in. Thank you all for joining me here at Gordo's Games. Yeah, so in case somebody doesn't know who I am, my name is Gordo. I'm a challenge on a variety streamer, variety speedrunner. I do gaming, I do lots of gaming, also game and some cardboard gaming, and I do lots and lots of different stuff. If you like variety, kickback vibes and chilled community, then you're in the right place. You're from Crim, so I imagine you do. Crim, I hope you had a good stream. Thank you for everybody to shout out for Crim, appreciate that.
I got turned around there. I went massively the wrong way, I think. And I think I'm still getting looped around here. Gosh, no, I'm getting lost.
It's alright, I'm gonna teleport you in a second.
Yeah, because I couldn't follow you through the webs today. I'm like just doing laps here. I don't know where the exit is. I took myself around to a dead end, then back round again. Like I'm trying to find the exit. This was easier yesterday.
Alright, I'm got a teleport for you right now. So 2 seconds.
Okay, I think I just found the path actually as well, so that's okay. Plunderer's Promise. I just got into the wooden doors, past some pirates, so I think I was I was at the right place. Okay, cool.
But Crim,
I turned around in the little pits there, but I did get a duelist level up.
It's
White Mage level up.
nice. Yeah, it's a confusing one. This one is. Crim, what were you streaming? Just let me know. I didn't see what popped up on chat, so let me know. Tell me, what were you doing this evening? What degeneracy were you putting out there for your community?
Yeah, if you guys are not already, do go and check out Grim. He plays a lot of retro and fun games. He's got very good tastes, I have to say. He's very knowledgeable as well. Like if you guys, for my viewers, if you're used to my nerdy knowledge in some of these old school games, then he's up there with me in that for sure.
It's still
in a way,
Quake
just
2.
it's like Neo. Just it's the same developers as Neo, so it's got that more like fast-paced hack and slashy combat. Should I be on duelist for him?
Yeah.
Okay, that was probably.
I mean, to be fair, it doesn't, like, in terms of the fight, as long as you're on, because you'll swap at the end to pugilist, if you remember rightly from what we did last time.
Duelist, is it duelist to pugilist at the end?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Yep.
That's fine. I'll take the grab there. That's fine.
It's fine. I know this guy's attacks now. If he does yo ho ho the grab attack, hopefully he grabs one of the other scrubs and we can mash him down. I learned that yesterday. Yeah, he's got me here. That's fine. Yeah, no worries.
Oh, that's a worry. We're getting scrubbed on.
Oh, he got me there with the overhead as I was healing.
All right.
It was unfortunate. When you press down on D-pad, the heal doesn't take immediately. It seems maybe because of the frames, but like it's like I have to press it like 4 times to get one heal. I feel.
It does seem. That's fine. You've been doing additional fights, so that should balance it out. So you're on duelist. So just on the next one, just go through on pugilist.
He had loads of HP, and then he was dead in the next burst. So I thought there'd be another 2 interactions from like before he died there. So that's on me.
Is this just fast-paced Dark Souls? I mean, it is said to be in a Souls-like
Neo.
form, but it's from the people who made Neo. Tried Unreal Tournament, but there's some stuff I need to fix. What have you broken? Yeah, and in Halo, it was just me and him going against each other, and I was going to explain. Nice.
Should I do the duelist pugilist here?
Yeah, if you want to swap over your things, just go into Pugilist now. And then you can just go through the mission with that equipped until we equip Marauder. It'll all balance out because, like I said, you're taking additional fights as we go.
I'll take an extra couple of flights to balance it out. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm a bit slack. I feel like I'm doing a little bit worse today almost than I was yesterday for the early game, but we'll make it up later.
I think that's because the role's slightly changed now. Instead of you just kind of running behind me, you're going off and doing things, yeah. But that's also going to give you more XP. That's going to allow you to inherently just catch up or even overtake in places.
Like, may have to like lose a couple of minutes early to save like 10 minutes later.
Exactly. You want to cast haste for us?
On it now. Did that work for you there? I'll do it again.
Did you want to do cast haste or haste to go?
I tried haste to go, but it still only did haste. Damn it.
It's all good. You just cast mine.
Is it up? No, it's not up.
Yeah, it's up. You're in the right way. Is it just you and Gordo, or who's the third? The third is just the computer. You can play 3-player co-op in this.
Then it's that. Where? Oh, it's this way. Yep.
So for anybody who hasn't played this game here, this is Stranger of Paradise. This is the original Final Fantasy 1 origin story to how the kind of thing unfolded, more or less.
And also to go back on that past question, can you do 3-player?
Yes, you can. That's why we'll get Sancho at some point.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, that's world record.
This takes place before FF1. Yes, yeah. This is a stab at trying to set up an origin story before Final Fantasy 1 to say why Final Fantasy 1 is the way it is. You might want to fight these guys on this rooftop and that while I'll do the running part because it's just running from my section here. So if you want to just clear out some of these guys, get yourself some XP.
Okay, I'm like outside the castle right now.
Sweet. Essentially Final Fantasy 0.5. Exactly.
I think I'm in like the wrong spot here, but it's fine.
I've only played 4 in the remake. 4 in the remake. I mean, 4 is a good one. Vessel, Dark Knight, Cain, the Dragoon. You can't go wrong there. Rydia, you know, all solid cast line.
Oh my god, this was a bad fight to take. This Coel is far too buff.
Coels are a pain in the ass.
That is red name as well. I shouldn't be fighting that. I need a more regular enemy. Is this not the right way to go? I'm like the other side of these big doors at the castle.
Right, I don't know if this teleports you to me.
It's locked. Hopefully it does, because I'm outside the big gates. I more or less, I remembered the drop down and over the little wooden bridge thing, and then I'm at the front of the castle, not at the side where you went. And
swap Pugilist to Marauder if you can.
That's gonna have to wait a sec, because I'm not in a safe place right now. Oh man, this is ropey. It's gonna look terrible because I don't know where I'm going. I think maybe I would have liked the more following route so that it looks better on my run, because otherwise this just looks terrible because I don't know where I'm going here. I'm just running around in circles like an idiot because I don't know where that drop down was. Where was that path? It looked way smoother while I was following you and like exactly to the word.
Okay.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Is it supposed to be Garland goes back in time after you beat him in Final Fantasy 1? Nah. This is how Final Fantasy 1 how it all kind of turns out basically. Right, you're aware I am now. Well, you should be.
Yeah, this is rough, dude. 17 minutes in and I've just been lost for 10 minutes. I'm not very fond of this run attempt.
Thing is, we've still got to get used to the route anyway from just going, so I think at one point we just
on my side yesterday where I'm like following you and you're like, right, drop down here, go here, turn left, and I was like with you the whole way. Here I was bumming around, not knowing where to go around the front of the castle for 10 minutes until I got warped like a little baby, and I don't like that. It looks so amateur. And I get it, I haven't played this before, but I want it to have some more semblance of we're doing the thing.
Mother
I
chucker.
get to change my class.
Oh, you had to knock me out of that, didn't you? Yeah, you did, didn't you?
No, you can knock me out of mine too. Ay, 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 where's the hyper armor, dude?
Swap to, oh, I don't know what it is. Duelist. If you can.
From Marauder.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, if you killed enemies, it doesn't really matter. Oh, this is going to take rerouting. I'm gonna just reroute this in my head as we go. Because I don't think the class swaps are going to be that needed. Not with how it works overall.
Well, I mean, I don't mind doing that because then, like I said,
It's just habit.
Like
it's just for me. For me, it's just more habit than anything.
Yeah. But yeah, that fucking chapter was awful. That went so much better. That looked so much better on my side yesterday. Instead of getting fucking lost at the front of the castle for ages because I don't know where that path is.
It's all
Things
good.
like that annoy me about not knowing the game and not knowing the run. I want to know the lines and where to go so I don't fuck around like that.
Alright, we're gonna we may have enough stuff for the. I've got 5 yet, but you can get Flea, so Thief, so Pugilist and Duelist to Thief, unlock that, and then unlock Flea. Then that part's out of the way, and technically that we have enough to do it now. This is because you've taken more things, we actually have it sooner than expected.
Okay, so what? Duelist, Thief.
Duelist and Pugilist, level them up to Thief, and then yeah, we're just looking for Flea on the Thief class.
Alright, got enough for that one. Anima.
Should be 2 on the Pugilist, I think. You require maybe more. I don't know. Depends on how many anime you've got.
More. It's fucking loads. Okay, now I can get it.
And then when you go on Thief, you'll need 3 anima shards to unlock Flea.
Yeah, I didn't keep an eye on whether I had enough of those left. Let's see, hopefully I do. Oh, I need to go shit. Here and then Thief. Where is it? 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 There. I have 3. I have 5, so that's fine.
Sweet.
I fucking pressed all the wrong buttons. I've cancelled out the thing I didn't want to cancel. Get back in there, please.
I'm switching over to the Frosty Tools story.
Wait, Anima's triangle. Okay. Anima should be square. That feels more natural for that to have been on the square button.
That makes sense.
Okay. Flea there. And
I respect it just.
Alright, I think I'm good.
Yep, so all you'll be doing there is looking just all those pieces there. And I think just in terms of what you're doing from here on out, and you can take time in it because obviously I'm running anyways, just stick to sort of Marauder and Swordsman now, because that's the only part we need to level up from here on out. We don't need to really have Duelist and Pugilist until, like, we feel like it. That makes sense.
Okay.
Flea.
Oh, I don't know what I'm on right now. Hang on. I'm on Thief and Duelist.
Okay.
Or should I come?
Swap yourself to White Mage and Marauder, and leave yourself on that for the time being.
Right, I need hopefully to do this quick enough before you do those weather things because that menus me. White Mage, Marauder, Mage, Marauder. There. Okay. Right, now I need to try and... Oh, this level sucks too when you get left behind. Like, all of these levels are terrible when you don't know where to go. Like, the level design in this game is why I didn't originally want to speedrun it.
I can get that. I remember one of my first times doing it. I can get that.
Especially with that fucking mini-map. Like, bro, why make maps like this and not have a mini-map? What are you doing? Yeah, I'm once again not knowing where to go here. I'm here with these, like, the birds at the waterfall, and I don't know the path.
It's alright. I'm going to take you literally to the save point now, then you'll be right behind me, and then we can just carry on as if you was always here.
Man,
there you go.
This run sucks. Yesterday's will look so much better than this.
Oh, I didn't, because technically we didn't finish it.
Yeah, but I want it to be more in that vein where it's like I'm following along.
Did not press it?
The run, like, is good.
Why can't I not press this? Oh, is it because we engaged these guys? Oh, okay.
I didn't intentionally. Oh, I didn't.
No. I thought I pressed it. Apparently, it didn't want to take it into input. Right. Now we'll just go ahead and do it. Oh, that's Mimi.
Okay, that is a path. Okay.
Okay.
And that took me back to here where I just started from. Where the fuck is... Oh, man, this level sucks.
No, I just teleport you back because this was broken because we couldn't get through here.
Oh, right, that's why we can get through. Right, yeah, I remember.
So I was just basically fixing the game because it was just there, it was stuck. Can you let me do this honest? Alright, in this part here, if you want to just fight this harpy and these things here, I'll do the whole ropey thing before we fall down. Because remember, we go down this part and kind of fall down the hole shortly. But I have to go and do this part where I fall off all the time. Right. Just in terms of you follow me, so you're going to come down this way. Right, and it's just down this hole. Oh no. Can we haste? Why would you not cast? Why are we on DR? And then you were going the right way, yep?
Not going. Why I'm slow because I haven't got haste today. I have, but it's not equipped right, so. Oh, no, didn't mean to do that. That's faster in Elden Ring, not this game. It's double L1 in this game.
Yep. Alright. I'm going past the same thing here, so you will get moved towards me just for the terms of we need the mana. And then we're just going to continue through this way. This one, this is where we kind of loop around. So go right, then kind of loop around the side. And back to that orb over there. Oh shit, this way.
But yeah, for those of you that are watching on my side, guys, sorry for the absolute dogshit performance, but I haven't done enough of this game before, and yesterday it looked a little better because I just tailed directly behind him, and we were like kind of zoom in, so it didn't look as lame as this of me fucking around, not knowing where to go, and getting lost loads. That's what I was worried about for this game. That's why it's like, it's okay when you're running with someone that knows where to go, but otherwise this would take weeks to learn for me on my own. To try and remember all different paths. Oh, that's not the right way, that's water. Shit. That was a shit teleport.
Yeah.
It teleported me to like a death pool. Like, what the heck? I was doing fine.
Alright, we'll get this one 180 and then drop down and then straight to the boss. Now we will get this for the mana side of things because this guy's gonna be a pain in the ass. Activate Chaos Bringer. And this fight we want to finish on Swordsman. So
okay, which class would I swap for that though?
Just swap White Mage. Alright, come on you absolute cockwomble.
No, it moved. What class?
Swordsman.
Ah, enough time. Didn't get to it. That menu doesn't last long. I need to know those way more. I'm not ready for when they are. Like you just said it, but then stuff happened since then. I just realised halfway through the cutscene I need to trigger immediately that as soon as that cutscene happens to immediately menu. I can't get my fucking thick skull around that just now. Shit. Alright, well that's now going to be underleveled.
Have you played Cyberpunk? And yes, I played Cyberpunk. Yes, great game. Excel has, but basically it's it's an amazing game. I played the hell out of that when it was still buggy, when I had dicks flying across the screen and all sorts, because apparently that wanted to be a thing, and also the fact of like at one point I couldn't unequip my if you unequip your trousers once you couldn't put them back on, so you just walk around with your schlong out for the game. Since I'm just going to change my class over here because it's the Marauder and White Mage now. I'm playing it now. Nice. What do you think? What are your thoughts on it, Pizza Thrower? Are you opting for stealth? Are you going aggro? What's your line of thought for the game? Let me. Let's taste Gyros on us.
White mage anymore.
I got it. Alright. Did I get you as well?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going upstairs, crystal stairs. Then to right, as soon as you get to the top of the stairs. And then I don't know if you're right behind me or not. I'm
on the crystal stairs right now.
Okay. I'm playing it's good. I bet I beat it this morning. Nice. Which ending did you get? Can you?
It's left, is it? No. Okay.
Alright, we should have teleported it. Mal, we're going to stay together in this part anyway, because we have to.
Cloister of the Burdens. Yeah, I'm just a bit behind you. You just killed something in here, I think.
Yep, you should be teleported to me now. So, I'm going to cast that. I'm going to try and get...
Okay, that doesn't get me, actually, I don't think.
I think I only cast haste that time. That was on me.
Right.
The one where I went to space. Oh, okay.
I think that's the Song Me ending. DLC.
Oh, come on. I thought that got it. We're memeing.
Wow, timing, I'm gonna call him.
Alright, let me know if I'm too far ahead and I was take a step closer.
No, you're good.
Cool, alright. So yeah, just stay on my tail because we've got invisible floors coming up. Oh, okay. I'm about to get knocked off.
Did he not fall off? What the hell? Floating ass enemies, that's cheap. Dude was, he should have fell to his death. He was just walking on thin air, dude.
I know, right? Those invisible floors will get you.
No, he wasn't on an invisible floor.
Oh.
He was next to it. Like, he should have died. He wasn't on one of the ramps or anything. He was cheating. Well, well, maybe, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't.
Come come on.
Which one is the path? Is it this one? Is it this one? Okay, good.
Right, okay, there's a lot of guys. Alright, we'll go down here.
Oh.
Right, we'll get us some mana so we can just cast haste, flee, all that jazz and just run through. Memes. Alright, and now once we've killed this thing here, take a menu just to optimize again because we get a scythe given to us here.
Can't remember how to do that.
There you go. I'll just do it here so enemies are despawned from us. Battle settings, and then press select.
Yeah, that's it.
And then
I don't have one. I have a battle axe.
okay.
What class is that? Marauder, right?
Marauder, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get one. I got a battle axe.
Okay, well,
Which is nowhere near as good as what I had yesterday. Level wise, I mean, it's like a level 17 axe. It's cack.
I'm fucking too far away, the bastard. Can you? Alright. He was trolling it today.
I was actually. This boss is probably the easiest boss for me. I haven't been hit yet.
Oh, it's not about being hit, it's just he likes to piss off in the sky too much.
There's a boss like this in Dark Souls.
And he silenced me, so I can't use my abilities. That's not nice. Swap to swordsman once we get into this cutscene. I'm telling you now just to remind you.
It's already on.
Yep, cool. Okay, cool.
I'm not on it. No, I'm not. It's not. I'm not. But it's equipped. But I wasn't on it. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that's fine. It's equipped.
Okay.
Like I said,
I had swordsman marauder here. So
yes, it means all XP's gone towards those two classes, and that's sufficient. Yeah. Soon well, I mean, we can check actually because we might be finished with all the changing of classes now. It might just smooth itself out a bit. Obviously, we can still optimize like taking additional fights and do some of the looting stuff kind of things to help ourselves out because looting might be good just to see if you can get better acts as well.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about trying to optimize the freaking traversal so I'm not running around getting lost, dude. I mean, I'm gonna because I don't know where I'm going, but like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So if we're gonna go unlock the Berserker, you should be able to now. I think.
From Marauder.
Marauder and Swordsman, yeah. If not, you should have enough anima to, I think, at least get you there.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Done. Equip them or no?
Equip Berserker, yeah. So I trolled myself there. That's annoying.
Berserker Swordsman or Berserker Marauder?
Berserker White Mage.
Oh.
You want to go back to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I don't have all the moves I require, but that is fine. I can make it work.
Oh yeah, I've been forgetting to cast Flee. Fuck.
Command abilities, there's one you may have reinforced now, so you might want to equip that as well.
Is there a thing. Like I said, I do have that. Like, oh yeah,
I think you naturally get it from unlocking classes for it. So
yeah. I didn't use it yesterday though.
Reinforce stops you from being staggered as much. You know, like if you need a charge attack, so
that's
quite handy.
useful for sundering, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I'd rather pop that and then actually be able to hyper the thing. That would be way more useful. Oh shit! Sorry, I didn't read it up.
That's all good. That's all good. All right, let's go. Again, folks, can we get a little shout out here for Excel. All right, this is a slight out of its comfort zone. I don't cast flee, but he's taking part. He's participating.
I don't usually like to do runs when I don't know, I haven't practiced. I feel like it to me it makes me look like a schmuck if I haven't like learnt the strats, watched the tutorial, watched the record, learnt the actual GDQ submission of the run, sort of thing. So like when, you know, I don't mind as much to take part in some co-op stuff with people. That's what I was saying yesterday. Am I supposed to be in this lift? I don't think I am, but I'm with, okay.
You're with me.
I'm with the AI.
That's me.
Oh, you're him today. Oh,
Yeah.
right, I see. That was tripping me out.
Oh, that's probably why you've been following the wrong guy.
No, I have been following you, but I thought I was following the AI and you were even further ahead. Like, so I have at least mostly been on your tail. Okay, that's not so bad.
Alright, I'll get this one, then we'll go back to the lift that's behind us. Oh,
It's
all good.
By the friggin' walls.
just here on the right.
Yeah.
Alright, do you want to charge Hastings and cast it for us, and then release when we get to the top of the lift? Because I used my last one. This is a nice way of doing it as well. We can actually offset using manor.
God, okay, we weren't quite there yet.
That's alright. That should be enough.
It's just this frickin' Final Fantasy loading screen. Oh, what's one for that lift?
Yeah, I think the first part don't beat yourself up too much about to start with, because the problem is there's a lot of trying to change classes and managing the classes and trying to do that when you then do the traversal at the same time though.
The traversal bit pisses me off the most. Running around and just getting lost. There's no mini map. Like, these levels are intentionally set like that. Like, this is, you know, they really don't want you to speed run this game. That's why it's so mazy. And that's, like, when I first played it casually and played the first couple of levels, that immediately made me think, I don't know how much I would speed run this game on my own. And if I did, it would take a long time to learn everywhere. Like, I'd be just doing mission... I would rerun the same mission 10 times until I had it down before I did mission number 2. That's how I would have to learn this game. I feel.
Alright, now let's just clear these guys out. So we've got to wait for the lift anyway, so let's get ourselves some XP.
Okay, I found my new Berserker strat at least.
Nice, lifts here. Let's go. Oh, Cyclone Rush is my favourite with him.
My strat here is Sundering Blade, but I'm doing R bumper, R trigger without doing the triple R bumper, and it means I can get the Sundering Blade off quicker and people just get bonked. Because otherwise I do the 3 hits into the third one and they've dashed out of the way at this point.
And the haste,
you know, jumping up in the air like a lemon.
Alright, now there's some switches here. Just kill the enemies around so they don't like kind of hit me. So just run past these turrets and then kill what you can on this side, because they're just going to meme and slap me anyway. And I'll do the running backwards and forwards part. Sweet. Alright, now follow me to the left. Let's go.
Okay, hang on. I'm trying to find out where that is. This way, yep. I'm on the way.
Alright. That part works out nice actually, because there is chances that I can get knocked off, which is a pain. Alright, I'm gonna take a save point here because I'm gonna try and see if I can level up my things to get the correct move sets. for the Berserker on, because I didn't get mine, because I didn't have enough XP. I'm just going to take that quick 2 seconds here.
There's your rehaste gun.
Thank you. Alright, Cyclone Rush.
Yeah, I don't have those today. That's what I was getting yesterday, the Cyclone Rush and that. I mean, I can, but I haven't bought them yet.
It's all... I mean, to be fair, it's more of a...
I may get that later, because it's useful for Big K, if anything. I liked it for him.
Yeah, true.
Possessed Big K, I mean.
Brutal Tackle's good for him. Obviously, if you've got the things to do, it's slow, I know. But it does have a large charge.
How I won in the end was getting it off, but it was because he kept cucking me from it. When I landed it and it hit him, I hit him with 2 of them or so, and he was broken. And it was like, wow, he's already dead. But before I was hitting and running, and it was just I couldn't get enough leeway on him, you know. Should be down now.
Wait. Look, it's starting to come together now. All right, it's the first part is the rockiest part of this.
The combat bits are the bit I will, you know, excuse the pun, but I'll excel at, because the combat bits is what I'm going to be more known for rather than frickin' map traversal. Combat I can like get good at.
You absolute troll. Keep jumping out of the way. Alright.
Class change or no?
No, we're done all that ass. We are fine with that part. There is some later for quality of life, like to make things easy going through things, but they're more advanced things that aren't necessary. We'll now do the disconnect, obviously go through this little story things here, and then it'll be every 2 missions. You know, once we kill a warrior of the, you know, the crystal things, the things that protect the crystals, as per Final Fantasy 1 stories. You know, Kraken Lich and all that. So we'll do that. We're picking Earth Crystal first.
Yeah, Earth first. Yep, I remember. It's important that you pick Earth. You told me that.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure why, but I think just the route's better for it.
The lady I was thinking of in FF1 is Sarah, not Sophia. Sarah is the one that has the loot that's with the king and whatnot.
Oh yes, yeah.
I actually don't know. I think Sophia is a Stranger of Paradise character. She's with Jack. Like, I think she's from this.
Yes, she is.
I was getting them mixed up to the S names, but yeah. Phantoms of the Past is now available. Is this the next?
I'm gonna send you an invite now. I'm just sorting out things. You might want to just equip Cyclone Rush, Moon Slash, and Brutal Tackle. No, for Berserker.
Oh, right, okay. Do I have to buy them?
You should have them for the most part, but yeah. The Brutal Tackle's on Marauder, Cyclone Rush is on Berserker. And I will send you an invite now.
Brutal Tackle and Cyclone Rush. Do I not need Moon Slash?
I
don't really like Moon Slash.
If you don't like it, don't take it. I think it's one of those, it's not always necessary.
I've got Sundering Blade, like, it seems a bit pointless, to be honest, but, where was the other one?
It's on, Cyclone Rush is on Berserker.
And Berserker, thank you, sorry.
That's okay, it's okay, I'm just trying to invite you now, it's like, where's the invite? Why can I not send you an invite all of a sudden? Are you fucking serious now? Discord. Not fucking Discord, Steam.
Maybe because I'm in this, I'm not in the, well, I should be on the menu, on the map. Be thing. Right, this one I want to be Cyclone Rush.
I love games.
Apparently I have Ground Pound now. Is that any good or no?
I can't say I've used it, to be honest. Right. Yeah, I'll sort it.
Yeah, I'm on the map, and you should be. Oh shit! I had casual on, by the way.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, no.
It's no bother. If it worked, it worked. It was deactivated when you came into the game with me.
No, but I mean, it might be invalid.
It's fine. If it's we'll go with it. We'll go with it. Right, invite's gone now.
I didn't see that until now. I forgot that, like, in my one, it auto. I have to turn that off every time, even though I remade the save with that turned off. It still always wants to put me back on casual mode, which is annoying. I just realised that story because as soon as you said, "Oh, why can't I invite you?" I looked up to the top corner and saw that and was like, maybe it's that. For a point you have yet to experience, are you sure you want to join? Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't see that notification yesterday, I guess.
All right. You should be here. I'm just waiting for you to load in because it wasn't showing on mine a second ago. Okay, you are here now. Okay, cool. All right. No, I'm sure when you go onto multiplayer, it deactivates because you're not allowed to have it active during multiplayer. So I'm sure it deactivates it.
Maybe it only has it up when I'm doing the solo parts.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen that when we're in a lobby. Like that part doesn't, the difficulty thing doesn't show in the top right there as much, you know.
To the right.
Like, I expect to shit on all of our first couple of runs.
Oh, 100%.
We'll actually get time anyway, so...
This is it. This is just my thing. I will. I mean, you've seen seen my runs to some extent, but like I will send you like things.
It's one of them though. It's like it's different when you watch a run compared to when you're doing and learning the run. If that makes sense.
Yep.
I take it in. Oh wow, I got grabbed. I take it in more when I'm doing it or am involved in it than when I'm just spectating it. Oh my god, this guy is fucking me up.
Alright, we're just gonna clear these out. And then run through. Alright, Excel's in the lead. Okay, look at he's taking the initiative here. He's going the route. He knows it.
I don't mind when it's mazy, but it linearly filters you
like
to
this
go
one.
the right way without you realizing. Yeah, like this one looks looks like it's all complicated, but it's not. It's actually just kind of linear.
Can you get to the save point up there and teleport me?
If I can find it, is it that? No, I fell off as well. I got pushed off, I think.
All right. That's amusing for my part because that's the first time I've ever fallen off there. Alright, I think I found some things that climb back up, so it should be okay. I will teleport us. For some reason, my normal run back to the right didn't work for me this time.
I just realised I had 1 HP in a dream, maybe like half of 1. Like, wow.
Yes, as we were saying, folks, about runs, like these are definitely the warm-up ones.
These are professional runs that we've spent 10,000 hours practicing. Highest level, world record.
The aspect of the video here is what happens when you put a person who's ran the game with somebody who's not. Here's your outcome.
Well,
you fall off cliffs.
Yeah. What you're leaving out there is it's the guy who knows the game that's falling off the cliffs.
Yep, and then you follow behind me, so I was leading the right way.
I did follow behind you, yes, but in my defense, I was charging the touchpad on the friggin' thing on the orb, and I got sailed off the side by something, and I don't know what. I maybe pushed off by an attack, I don't know, but I was just like, I was trying to do it.
Oh no, I fell off. I was like, oh god. I was like, I do the same thing every time, which is just run slightly like forward and slightly to the right, and that usually gets me across, no issue. I did that and I was like, okay, this is not right. Usually I've hit a wall here or something like that, and it's giving me some guidelines to run in the right direction, and I've just gone clean off. I'm like, we'll buy it for the next one.
What?
Lunatic. It's no biggie.
Oh yeah.
We'll make sure we get it for some of the other ones.
Is that Berserker?
Yeah, you can just anything you're accustomed to at this point. It's free roam, whatever you want. Reinforced, Berserker.
Oh yeah, this guy. Ow, that hit me still. Okay, that's a huge fucking hitbox. Jesus.
Yeah, you did. I tried reinforce, so
Okay.
I took the hit.
I forgot to use that.
I don't always use it like a lot of these things. I forget half the time myself, so.
No, that just killed me. What? Let me get my shit off, dude. You fucking spammer. You should drop him. Ah, not quite. There you go.
There we go. I keep forgetting to activate the third person.
When he's minus, it's like playing a Tekken player, dude. This boss just mashes. What are you doing? It's not always your turn, buddy.
It's always the Dark and Zombie's turn. I mean, it's just a shame we don't get to like throw a Phoenix down at him or or something like that, as in Final Fantasy lore.
That's a missed opportunity to have a projectile Cura or something, or an elixir, or any of them to kill. That would have been a cool Easter egg, or do at least big damage on him, if not to kill. Like you have to use 4 of them, which does like a holy water in Devil May Cry, where it does like a fixed like 25% or something. Sunblade level 50. Is that like a rare drop, or are we supposed to get that?
I think I've got it as well, so I guess we both get it.
Okay, maybe you just get it from the boss. I just saw the purple thing and I was like, oh, did we get lucky? Like, did we? I mean, probably not. Scripted story sword.
On Berserk, you may want to just unlock Lunatic, just so we've got it as well.
Thank you. Yeah, Berserker, Lunatic is there. Got it. Equip. And that's going to go not there. Done.
Sweet. All right.
Anything else?
That is it. We can go to the next mission now.
Yep.
We're
picking it up now. I feel
on your command abilities. Get that out. Put on your command abilities. Unless you've already done that.
Already done it.
Sweet. That's what I mean.
Bought it and equipped it straight there.
Now, once it's the first part, because obviously you're trying to manage traversals whilst you're trying to manage classes and XP. That part is the most convoluted, especially for somebody newer as well.
And because it's different to the one attempt I've... Yeah, thanks. It's also because it's completely different today to the one attempt I was taught yesterday, where I just followed you. We didn't do any of that, so I didn't get lost, and I was able to follow exact directions with you and your character, so I didn't get lost at the castle, could find the drop-downs, and it was, like, kind of smooth.
Well, that's what I mean. I feel like there's...
And they say you're not allowed to splice runs, right? That's illegal?
Damn right.
Fuck. Okay, damn it, I'll just get good.
Oh, come on, you meme gits.
The last thing these bloody moderators want is me to learn this game and be good at it. Or maybe they do, I don't know.
Alright,
maybe they don't even know who I am.
I mean, they will do.
24 FPS in a dream, brother. Wow. My advice to anyone watching, if you're in the chat, then if you want to pick up this game, grab it on console.
100%, I agree, 100%. I will swear by that.
Get it on one of your PlayStations or your Xboxes, and it will play lovely. We've got it on each. He's Xbox on PS, and both of our versions are lovely. I'm sorely disappointed in this version, actually. It doesn't have enough fidelity in it to run like such ass. Are we killing this Chimera? Is the one with the key, right?
Yeah, just fight these and I will...
Oh, he's chasing you.
We want to kill this one here, but I basically just want everybody out of the way.
Oh! Okay, fucking go. I think I need to use that reinforce here, because these things are just too buff.
Oh dear.
No way you flew out of that.
Alright, got him. Yeah, it's heading towards the door now. It's amusing because the way you're doing that in solos, you want to basically start spinning Cyclone Rush before he's even down, and then you kill him as soon as he lands. That's just it. But obviously, because he's got more health in co-op, it doesn't always work.
Okay, these things are too buff for me. They're far too brute. Like, it's like I've beaten the shit out of it and I've done a spec on his yellow bar. Like, that, I'm far too underleveled to fight them.
So I'm going to teleport forward now, just because I've got the door open that, and we'll be heading towards the final stretch. Sweet.
But like, it's a necessity that I have to reinforce against that enemy, I think, because they just tank through it.
Yeah, I think in those places there,
like where we're low, you know.
It's not necessarily the case of having to kill in those places, because we don't need the XP as much. I mean, it's helpful to try and get better loot drops and obviously to you know, make it more comfortable for us. But for the most part, it's more trying to stop them from knocking us off the objectives. Because that part's it's an annoying event, just where everything goes wrong. Lunatic. Right, let's go.
Okay, I hasted us into Lunatic. Hopefully
Sweet, I saw the haste. Appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm trying to get into my own thing of my own route of like remember to do that charge thing while we're after you warp me or when we're on an elevator.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I don't know how interested you'd be. I want to try and route this differently.
I'm down to. I don't know any better, mate. So I'll route it with you, and we'll make it up as we go along. Because I don't know what's what. I only know what you taught me from solo, and that might not be the best way to do this. So
well, that's just it. It's basically like the Metrax is obviously like one of these strong weapons, but like because other things we could use.
Really, but if we set it up in a way that I'm empowering you with more of a synergist class rather than we both need axes and we both need some damage.
God, he's trolling.
But there might be some blue magey or white magey type things I can do that can keep you in the fight, reinforce you, heal you, and let you DPS them down. Like maybe in that synergy, you know. I don't know if that's possible here, but
I definitely think that's something we could look at. Just need to.
By the way,
I mean, this guy is just being a troll.
I don't have mana to get the Cyclone Rush the time that I would have got it, the time he wouldn't have warped out. You need to be able to swap green pots for blue pots. Because I don't sometimes need heals, but I need to be able to spam mana. Like...
He's trolling hard. There's just no way about that.
Terrifying Embrace.
Okay. Okay, Sailor. Oh, you mother chucker. Alright, got him. Nice, well done. Like, this is gonna... The thing I like about this, and this is one of the reasons I speedrun, is I like seeing my crappiest things turn into the artwork they do. You know, once you've got it refined, it's like, well, I remember my first dog shit run.
Turning that first PB into your 4th place, top of the leaderboard type run, like.
Exactly. It's just like, okay, now we've just got the little solo part here, and I want to invite you again. But yeah, just seeing those little pieces to come together, because I mean, this I run this, and I'm like, obviously it's been a while since I've been in your shoes, where I'm like, okay, this is all natural to me now. I'm like, okay, shit, this is a lot harder than I thought it is.
It's like, let me drag you along on a no-hit run on Elden Ring, you know? Don't get hit there, mate, by the way. Oh, you got hit. Like, it's, you know, it's going to be a different... It's like that. You're out of your zone completely. You haven't done it yet. It's a similar concept.
No hit on Elden Ring. I do that every other week. It's just a regular old Tuesday.
It's like that guy Nostro. He does that before he even... to be no-hits Elden Ring before he even watches the stream. He tells me personally in the chat.
I've heard Elden Ring's too easy for no-hits. I've played the real games. Dark Souls 2, right?
Oh, Dark Souls 2, the best Souls 2, yeah, dude. Scholar Edition, Steven's favourite. Wicked Arbor, is this the thing I need to do on my own, right? Yeah. Memories of Poison. Memories of Poison.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. No, I'm gonna invite you in.
Oh, that's the one you have to invite. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry,
Memories
I
of Poison.
thought there was more. I thought there was more that I had to do in the solo part. I thought.
No, literally, it's just that little cutscene and then straight into Memories of Poison.
Yeah, that's where I was. Okay, cool.
All right, let's ready up and let's go.
We can. There's no way that shows like the difficulty thing. It just says story, not story casual on, right? So it must be what you said, where it's only the solo.
I think it deactivates it.
Okay, cool. As long as that doesn't still invalidate it, because I'm doing that solo part with casual on, but I didn't know about that.
I know you don't want to separate in terms of where we're going and that, but I would possibly recommend see if you see any chests, take some chests. Just because I see your battle axe is still 18, mine's not much better at 22. I'll be honest, but like, obviously we're going into the region where we're going to be hitting 70 level 70 and equipment levels.
Yeah.
So if you do see any, just grab it. I might even do the same, just because. If not, we'll have to take a smithy. But if even it's
yeah, but I do want to do something like that for precautionary for Big A, because otherwise it's going to be a 10-minute time loss of me getting washed to him again.
Oh no, 100%. No, but what I mean is like smithy's one thing, but still need the resources to like upgrade it. We at least want it to be slightly higher up, so like, at least like 30, 40 or something like that.
Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to optimize earlier, but I haven't had time to do it yet, because I don't know if I haven't checked in a moment if I have picked up anything good since, because I've picked up a few. We've had some good drops, but they're not for our class.
Yeah, which is also why I'm like, well, maybe there is options to put other classes in this run, and you know, have a bit more fun with having a multitude of things instead of let's both go the same build and see what happens. I feel like this allows for more creativity for the co-op, which is one reason I actually enjoy it, because I was like, okay, you know what, that could work.
It does. Yeah, it does to an extent, as long as there isn't already a meta co-op route.
I mean, I don't think there's that many runs for co-op.
That many runs.
There might be. It's an older game, but I can't.
Well, from what I saw on the boards, even on console, it's mainly just that lady and L-Body and a couple of other runners.
Rotomotor and Yappa and
the CK boys, yeah.
And we. I haven't really seen any chances. Otherwise, I was going to grab them.
I haven't either. I'm following you as well, mostly, and I haven't seen any yet.
All right, so we don't buff here, remember? Because Marlboro do bad stuff.
Okay, I've got a level 50. I've got a level 50 axe or something. I optimized.
Okay, sweet. That's good. That's good. I optimized. Maybe I should check mine.
Yeah. Because we've been picking up. As I said, we've been picking up purple shits. I'll tell you what it is after, because I probably don't have time to see it right now. But yeah, I just saw it and it was like purple level 50 and like nice. That'll do. Get ready for this big fucking sundering blow.
Alright, I got levels 47 axe. I was just optimizing there.
It's all good.
Like I said, all of these things are going to be cleaned up. This is
Belova, it's called. My one. Belova, level 50.
Oh, watch out.
Oh, as I was charging Sundering, you're biatch. He did that to me yesterday as well.
There you go.
There you go. Nice.
When you have a weapon that does the damage, we're fine.
Yeah, that went. We saved like 4 minutes on this guy, I'm sure. Just I swear that guy took ages yesterday and he was trolling.
No, it's his mate, otherwise. The one that we have to blow the canisters up, because apparently he's tankier than the actual boss level one.
Also, this axe already, that one I've just equipped, that level 51, is better than anything I had yesterday. I did BK with a level 37 war axe.
Yep. It's hard times right there. But yeah, so now, if we don't get a decent drop before, let's say, Kraken, we'll smithy it.
Yeah. I'm already. I'm happy with the drop I've already got, because I'm already way ahead of what I was on yesterday. Like that's a nice like RNG appeal while I'm new, because it's like, oh, I'm getting like RNG drops. That's gonna suck when I'm good at the game, but for now it's cute. I think I shot some more. Re-optimize if you picked up the gear there, because there was some purple armor.
I'm doing so now. All right. And then
can of cola that I prepared earlier on.
Off to the fire. Marilip it is.
Bring on the snake ladies. Let's go.
But yeah,
my favourite.
Yeah, I stand by. I think once you get past Chimera, once you get past having to faff around with the levels, do you want to cast Haste to go?
Yeah, working on it now.
Sweet. I'm just...
doing. He should let me know if you got it. You might be
got it.
far out. Oh, sick. I wonder if it's just party-wide.
Yeah, I think it's just party-wise,
Party,
which also makes it good. You like, obviously, if we are traversing, you just that's it. I just run basically, and it's like, yeah, this is only a very short map, so what I'm going to suggest just to see if we can grab anything, kill any enemies, get some additional levels and that kind of stuff. Because
some chests and there's some loot in this one. It seems like I've already seen one chest. So
just because there's not much in terms of traversing that. When your haste runs out, I'll leave it down to you just to cast haste again, and then I'll just keep on running. I'm getting killed by lava. Lava is in fact lava, folks.
Haste to go on the go.
Sweet, thank you. Okay, this is better. This is better. Well, one thing I guess we have to get down is just the what we're looking to communicate more as well is another part. It's hard to like say, well, just do this really quickly. Because like, well, no.
Well, yesterday you had to tell me what that thing was, whereas today if you just say haste skirt, it's like, right, okay, got you. Like, it just, you know,
yeah,
natural learning progression, obviously. I'm not lost though. You're lost, okay? Just know that.
I mean, look, you're not lost. You're looting. That's the whole thing. You're looting. You
I got a magician's mark level 50. That was worth. Okay, all right.
I got a chest here. I'm actually gonna take this chest because I'm here. Dancing daggers, level 51 daggers. I'm gonna teleport you. All right. So for this part here, whatever you want to go with, lunatic, reinforce, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna go lunatic, I think, and chaos bringer.
Activate it before or in the fight?
In the fight's fine. We'll have enough time because there's two of us.
Actually, I don't know how long they stay on for, so it's like, it's like Golden Bow, Physic, and bloody...
Yeah, you know the drill. You know the drill.
Yeah, I do. The buttons are different, but the concept is always the same. Alright, Lunatic. Should I be using Lightbringer more? I never use Lightbringer. Should I do that?
Yes. If you can do Lightbringer because you have enough thing to, it basically takes away 2 of your mana bars, but if you've got it down, it does a lot more damage, as you can see.
Yeah.
Like.
Wow, so, she's dead, right?
Yeah. She's just nuked.
So she was a bit trolly, I think, yesterday as well. She was okay, but look, definitely not as quick as that. That was. I don't know if my attack actually helped there, but.
Well, that's just it.
Maybe I'm helping.
Now we're getting more comfortable with it. What you may want to do if you get a chance, even if it's just in a level rather than menus, going on the Berserk class. Actually, no, you have to do it in the menus. Actually, don't lie. There is additional points for like additional damage and physical damage and things like that. You can kind of get on the buff.
Yeah, because like we only level up. We've only been buying the things that we want, right? But there's no reason why I can't grab a few extra things that we have spare money for, right?
Exactly.
So yeah. Good shout. I like that.
But yeah, I'm thinking if you want to, I would be intrigued to say change this up and make our own way of doing it to the point of making it more unique. I don't know the meta. I don't know if there is a meta.
Hopefully we can make our own.
The axe is a thing, yeah, sure, but...
We'll go with that, but we'll supplement it with... I still think there's a range for having me as a buff character that once I know the game better, I can work around you to empower you to speedrun the bosses quicker. So that if there's a way that I can reinforce you, lunatic you, and like haste you, so that you can like mash the boss down, you know?
Absolutely. Send you an invite.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to do the thing, the extra damage and whatnot. Is it affinity or just mastery I should get? Just damage.
Just damage, yeah. Just go for it. The affinities and that's more late game stuff. Who knows? We'll maybe get around to that. I think give you the DLC copy, didn't I?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so you got all that kind of stuff. Got floor rifts.
Okay, I just bought some more damage and a little bit of health and stuff.
Sweet.
Also optimized because we got another little bit of armor there that was probably useful. Purple. On battle settings there, and then touchpad, and then yes, and then cancel, and then invite, and then here, and then mouse, and play game, and left click. Hi. Speedrunning is fun.
The menuing is something to get used to because sometimes the menus aren't very responsive as well. That's an annoying part. Like some of them feel very delayed. Like you press the input, it's like, can you cancel that one, please? Oh no, you've just accepted that one.
Cool. At the moment, I'm not trying to do menuing TM. I'm just trying to equip the right thing.
That's probably where I lose loads of time because I am still not the quickest at doing menuing. Like the likes of Adisa. for instance.
Yeah, well, yeah, but having a consistent frame rate is half the battle, mate, on this, and menuing. Trust me, with the frame rate dipping, your frame time and responsiveness halves, so then your buttons don't come out. Like that's why that whole double buffer VSync. That if you go below 60 FPS, the game thinks it's 30, and your buttons get swallowed from software all over again. And that's what's happening to us here, because if we had like 120 FPS on our 5090, then we'd get the cleanest response time, and well, yeah, you know. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm gonna get the Switch. You want to cast Haste guy if you get a chance?
Oh yeah, working on it. Fantastic. I don't like these parts in the early mission when I've only got 2 mana. I like the parts at the end of the mission when I got like 7 mana.
I see like the army of people just chasing you. I'm just gonna run past them.
No, you just ignore the rumors you've heard. Nobody is.
I mean, look, this is like Resident Evil, right? That game doesn't have zombies in it. People be lying. Okay, just
I'm trying to find out
me.
where to go.
Towards the left. I should be taking it towards that direction anyway. If not, I will purposely take the save point just outside of it, actually, which I might still do just anyway, just to give us the mana. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I need the warp anyway, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that just to get us the mana anyway, I think.
That was so confusing, dude. Like, it's like the exit is intentionally just a narrow little way that I've missed, I guess.
It's
No idea. I went all the way down to the end, all the way back to this end, and I'm like, this is what this game even casually bugs me for that, because I spend it gets replayable, or it gets longevity out of a player because it tries to bewilder you with the level. If it was just had a frickin' minimap and just had a little, or like was a bit less ambiguous in level design, it would be a bit more enjoyable actually. But I think this kind of level design is tedious and not needed.
I get that. Personally, I don't mind the level design, but then again, I played it more. So it's one of those. It's like time spent.
Yeah, I mean, but even still, it's just even if I feel like with time spent, I don't feel like I would budge from that opinion. Just because I generally still don't like the design of this, the way they do these levels. I'm just like, now I'm taking a path. I have no idea if I'm going the right way. Okay, I think I am.
It's alright. It's going towards the left again. Like there's a lot of it. Like it isn't easy.
Move, please. I'm stuck in a corner. Oh, come on! I'm on the wrong weapon. I'm internally over on the wrong weapon. Could I be on the berserk, please? I was running around in fucking mage, and then I get into combat, and then I'm like, shit, I'm not on the right thing, and I try and roll out, and I get gangbanged in a corner and can't move.
All right, I'm gonna get you out of the corner. Oh, it's the cannon part. Let's see what memes we get today for the cannon part.
Oh, I've got like, yeah,
I got you.
Okay, I needed help. I had like 7 enemies. Where's fucking Jed? Where all the other cunt? Where is he? Where's the help?
All right, ready, set, bolt, left. Okay.
No, you grabby mind flayer bitch. Get off.
Sorry, I got it. You played the perfect decoy.
I got knocked by the lasers on the way there, but I made it to the thing.
Yeah, I got slapped by the lasers a few. I guess it's different in I think I'm gonna heal us just because.
It's probably more so it's different because it's fucking 4 FPS, man.
True that. I'm gonna go lunatic, reinforce, and then go in. I always do mine on the outside of the door. I don't know why. I can do it just in the inside.
That is smarter, but I don't know to do that yet. That's what I need to learn. I didn't know that door was this door until you did that and pressed the thing. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Again, these are my bad habits. I will.
It's because generally as well that is the better way to do it, so that you're already buffed going in and don't have to try and take cover.
The fight animation in this is pretty damn good though, and the soul burst and that.
Yeah. Sit down.
Get out of it.
That guy was a prick yesterday, but
We both got decent axes now, so it offsets the thing.
well, plus generally, like between the axes and having at least fought the boss once before, I can at least have a somewhat plan when I go into the boss fight. Like I know where I need to stand a bit more and whatnot. So
100%.
that helped.
100%.
Yeah, we sort of ping ponged in between. Wow, level 64 Magister Club, Jesus.
Yeah, so we equipped that.
Yeah.
Because we need it for the generators for this part.
Yep.
So that one's a standard drop we get every time.
I'm just going to optimize the White Mage now, and then I'll just optimize them both while I'm here, and we're good. Sweet. I've got a level 62 Destroyer Axe, apparently.
Nice, okay, that's pretty damn good. That means yours is a good curve where you probably wouldn't need to smithy at all. I mean...
Hopefully not. I don't reckon I might. Like, considering I managed to do the fight that I was stuck on yesterday with that possessed BK, I still did with my 37 axe. And presumably way less damage, way less stats, and nowhere near the armor, because I didn't optimize half as much as I am today. I'm just taking the time. I'll set up Hasker. I'm taking the time to optimize more because I know that that's a thing to do now. That's a Neo thing as well. But if you ever wanted to pick up Neo, you would do really well at that.
I've been told that I should play that game because of how much I played this game.
Yeah, you would really enjoy it, and it's not as fucking mazy. The levels make more sense.
The newest one does look good. I like the whole aspect to swap between samurai and ninja, and like, you know, the kind of class aspects and different style of game. So that does intrigue me. So
yeah,
Neo might come on my radar.
The other big difference it has is this thing that's like recasting Hasker. No, I'm not getting fucked.
You just...
Still trying.
It's alright, don't worry. Just keep yourself alive if not.
Nah, it's like I'm fine. It's just they were interrupting. Yeah. But yeah, the one thing as well with Neo that's really cool is it has a thing called a stance system. So you can be in high, medium, or low stance, and your attacks change depending on what stance you're on. Like high for big, heavy kendo overheads, and low for big, like knee-cutting slices that are quick. Grass choppers. Like it's cool. And like with your, you know how you have like your stamina, like souls. It has a recoverable mechanic, so you can kind of go mash, 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 recover stamina, mash, 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 recover stamina. And if you're good at the timing of it, like a tactical Gears reload, then you can nicely benefit from like infinite stamina, as it were.
This guy's tanky, regardless of things. I don't know why he is so tanky. This random fish prince.
It's they just are. Even in there.
All right, now we're going up this way. We're doing that drop again. Just don't sprint off it when you do it.
Yeah. Remember. Where is it? This room? Yeah. Made it.
Sweet. And then directly behind you, then right.
Yeah, then down and round. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm on the way. Bit behind, but I'm on the way. I got the arrows helping. Let's do this way and then down that ladder. Oh. Slide down, don't immediately jump because it's dangerous. You have to slide some of it.
Oh, okay.
Then we go.
He silenced me.
I may be on the way. I'm just sorry. I'm getting lost. Oh yeah, go. No, dude. Jolly bitch. I just can't get anything off before he spams.
Does the jump, and then I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to finish one move.
Should have mage for this one so I can get in and out quicker. Yeah.
So that's the tougher armorer. But yeah, realistically, we need both the canisters there, and he was just a little bit too far away from one of them when he did.
Yeah, I forgot to. I wasn't there early enough to put him into the canister with you that time because I was getting lost in these up a ladder, go across, down a ladder in the room that looks exactly the same as the room you just went over, and gaslighting myself into wondering if I'm even going the right fucking way.
Basically, folks, he loves the level design. That's what he's saying.
Absolutely.
But where the level design fails from folks, the combat makes up for it, and obviously the
Yeah,
frenzy
no.
of
To be fair, I really enjoy the combat. It's
clean for because obviously it's not trying to be Final Fantasy 15. It's not trying to be 16 or anything like that. It's
no. It's and I've played Neo, so I understand. I see the vision. Like it is FF Neo. That's literally what it is. It's not Neo. It's not FF, but it's FF Neo, and it's not it's not either one. It's not both. Like it's like it's crazy, but it works. It works. It's nice. Okay, I have an idea. Let me freeball this, because it might work. Well, that was the idea. It was to haste us, so because this guy moves around a lot, and I feel like if we're quicker, we can get him down more.
Yeah, just hit him whilst he's hitting me, that's it.
Ow. Oh, dumbs. Okay, I reinforced, but never mind. Sure. Is he weak to electric or not?
He is.
Okay.
Got me. I'm getting absolutely trolling these fights.
Oh, got knocked out of my aftershock. Okay, one thing I don't like is that your moves don't have any hyper armor, and if you're in the middle of one of your cool attacks, you just can die in the middle of it. I don't like that. There should be way more invulnerability during your special fancy moves. You know, like, what the heck?
I get that.
I get that that's why you should have things like reinforce and stuff like in,
I know, but we're being trolled hard here. Every move I'm literally through is being rejected. Oh fuck me! That was abysmal. We got loads of time saved there because that was the most trolly fight yet. No, actually, Lich was pretty bad as well.
He's gonna jump in the water now, right?
He is, yeah. And headbutt me several times. We'll hit one of these.
Gonna hit another one and pray that that also works. Because if these are worth doing it, then I can concentrate on these if they're doing anything. Maybe that one won't now, but...
Okay. Oh, we're not gonna left.
Oh, I broke them all. Sorry.
Sorry, no, sorry. So to be fair, it's never been an issue for this, so that's the learning curve.
I was hoping to use them all in that last cycle and kill him. I didn't. That's why I didn't know that we would get this. I didn't know he would last this long.
I mean,
he is fucking trolling. Okay, this should get him. There you go. Jesus.
Again, I felt like it did no damage. I mean, to be fair, it might be because most of my moves that I put down, I got knocked out of.
He's too fast to FF10, man. We just can't fucking hit him. You know, it's just like it's no good.
We've got
damn it, Kraken.
Short little thingy now, and then it is on to Pugilist. The main part, the piece de resistance thing. And we'll look at the time compared to where we were yesterday. We're ahead.
Yeah, we are. We're like, well, maybe. We got into BK at 1:34 yesterday, and I was there till like 1:40 something because he was trolling me. But I'm ready for this dickhead today, I think. Gulp.
Be fine. Nothing to worry about.
I'm in danger. No, I'm ready for him. He's dead.
At the end of the Pugilist fight, just for quality of movement, end of the Picky fight, just swap yourself from Marauder to Pugilist. It's just quicker movement in the Iron Giant one.
After him.
Yeah, after his fight. So just when you beat him, basically. You know, the very last phase.
Is there anything I should do prior on the way here? I'm going to re-optimize because I just got some more armor pieces just to make sure. But I've got extra damage. I've got way more than I had before. So I think
just go with it.
Kill him. Yeah. This is the area as well, right? This is the one.
Yeah, it should be corny there.
Like run all the way to town. Yeah, it's run all the way to the end. Fight him at the end. Wasn't there something you said to do before? Get into him, and I fucked
hit the save to get your mana back. So because you want to try and line up the brutal tackle before he can get close to you to try and get the damage off, and you should put him down in one. But then because technically you're solo, so he's only got solo health, not co-op health.
I need to. Yeah, but true. Yeah. I just need to check that brutal tackle and make sure that's equipped.
I've got level 65 destroyer. Okay, we'll take that. Okay, level 65 axe.
Okay,
we got good rolls.
Equipped brutal tackle yet. That's what I've been doing wrong. Sundering there, and I guess I don't know. I guess I'm not on this one. I guess the R1, 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 R2. Yeah. Okay.
All right, we'll get through this. The Iron Giant mission, and to be fair, the next few missions are a bit fucking thingy, but traversal. Like they're more mazy than anything.
Great.
So with those, you can just, if you want, try and stick on my 6 as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be the best bet. Is it? It's not worth hasting this level, is it, or is it?
To run across the thing, you can do. It's it's just to get yourself, but then you hit the save point to get your mana back anyway. So I guess
well, I didn't in the end because it would have taken me a while. I should have done. It would have been worth, but I felt like it would have taken ages to do the charge. So maybe it was negligible, but it turns out we travel further than I thought. Right, he's there, so this is the save point. Okay. Just gonna top up, top up menu stuff here in case this, and then this. Oh, I have dude, I have a gigant axe level 75.
Oh, nice, you're set. You don't need to submit to shit.
He's fucking dead.
I'm done. He's dead.
Oh, I just berserked away into the cutscene. Optimal timing, lol. Just frame.
He dead.
Right, D-pad. He's dead.
Sweet. Right.
And that is like 20 minutes faster than yesterday now.
Technically, it's faster than anything because we don't even have a time for it.
Well, no, but I mean, going on yesterday's pace, I started him at 134 yesterday, and I was getting trolled like 5 times until I won. So that was way better, like 126, and he's dead. So that's and way better gear today and all that. So great, like we love that. Sometimes we're going to occasionally get a gold split in this that we're never going to be able to touch because we'll have some crazy concoction of gear that we may not get in every run, like today.
Damn right.
Schemes of the Past, is that the next co-op?
Yes, I am sending you an invite now.
Yep.
Invite on the way.
Got it.
Right.
Cool. Okay, now we have a run, chat. Basically, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, did it not split on a thing? My puses didn't split.
I don't have the splits. Mine will split at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, true. Oh, hang on. I know why it didn't split. Oh, fucking it's. I know why it didn't split. Because it fucking queued me up a side mission instead of the fucking main mission. Because it did that nonsense to me. Hence the reason it looked very obscure. I've just taken us back to the menu. I was like, huh? Why
I'm still in a... Okay, no, it's working. Yeah. Alright, no worries. All good. With like a 20-minute lead on yesterday, it's like we can afford some memery.
Come on. Yes, Schemes of the Past. Ready.
It's what we said yesterday, because it defaults you to the shitty
side mission.
One
I was
in
like...
the same area, yeah. Yeah, I know. I played 2.5 hours casually of the game, and that already bugged me as a new player then without doing this stuff.
I didn't
I
switch
wonder why
to
we're back on that
pugilist,
level.
but that doesn't. I might just do it now, just for the movement.
Do I need to do that?
It's
Or...
just more for movement at this point. It's just quicker. In some instances, I feel so. Yeah, you can do. And then we just swap back to Marauder before we get to Iron Giant. Once you swap, let me know, and then just try and keep on my 6 as much as you can.
I've been on Berserker, but yeah. It was.
Oh no, sorry, Berserker, not Marauder. Berserker, you were right.
Okay. And Pugilist is the one I need now for speed, yes?
Yeah, just movement. It's the one that kind of shimmies. Okay, so when it cast Flee.
I'll do the Haster.
Yep. And then if you follow me,
Yep.
are you on my 6?
Yep.
Right. So, this way. So, fucking hell. Turn around here. So, look, when you got the stairs, first thing we do here is this wall here. I got lost so many times doing this. Because if you don't know, you just fucking run it aimlessly. Once we're through, we...
Not getting warped yet. I'm stood on that thing and it's not warping me.
Run off it, run back on it. There you go.
I think I got on it too quickly with you.
Alright, let me cast Flee again. Run. And then we're going to shift up here to the stairs on the right.
Yep.
Now, we're going to touch this just to get some mana back. I know I could just zap you along, but I'm just going to run you through as I go. Cast Flee.
Yeah. So I need to see it as well. Like, the parts that I got
the left wall here. Sorry to interrupt. Hug the left wall. Don't go in this middle part, and then go left. If you go too far in, there's a trap you get caught in, and you have to smash the generator to get out of it, and then you lose time just because. Yeah.
Understandable. But yeah, the parts that I remembered from yesterday that I was on my own for, I did fine with. Even at that annoying castle part where I was like, okay, I remember the part where you walk off the edge here and you walk over the wooden bridge, and then I got heavily stuck and couldn't find the next gap. That's all it is in these levels, is there's one tiny little exit that's the right one. Even worse with the levels like this where it's a...
You're smashing walls because you can't visibly see it. And then run, hug left because there's a Tunbury there and he likes to do his little thing. And then it's to the right here, there's a wall to smash. Is what we need is a key basically, which is in this chest over here. So once you grab that, we run out. And then back the way he was going, this way. And then we're going to go to this wall, to this pink little thing here. Now, once we are thingy, technically we could almost split up here. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm just going to grab the switch then. apparently I pressed it. Because all I do is go down here, press switch, now come straight back up. Once we're more comfortable, technically one of us could... Can
I teleport you back with this fucking save or not?
Let me just get the thing. And then...
Let me know when you've done it and I'll try it.
Try it.
Touching it.
Touching you?
No.
Okay.
Nah, it didn't. It just lets me use it. Okay.
So maybe it's just me that does the teleporting here.
Okay, so next time I go down there. Next time you send me down the lift and then you bring me back with the. Yes. So you can stay in the middle here with the save, right? That's how we do that. Yeah.
Right. Because all we do now is once we've done that, is we run up here. This stairs here. Then through this way, and there's a generator here, there's a silver thing in the middle, so we have to destroy this silver thing. We ignore him and we just destroy this, and then we run to the teleport behind him.
Teleporting.
And there's a crystal here. As soon as you get off, you get that. And then there's a chest that has a key in it we need. So we grab the key and we take this lift down. I'm gonna show you this because, like I said, we can probably use this as some way to mitigate time.
Yeah, on some of the side like if you teach me all of the go left, activate the bridge, go right, activate the other bridge, and then because some of them parts
you can do because you don't require soul burst, I don't think, to do these stuff, so you might still just be able to go ahead and do them.
Yeah, for some of the, only for these types of things where it's like getting a key or something. But when it's busy work like that, then I have to be the one to go and do it because you're the host and you can teleport me. So then you can just run back to the save point back there, like on that elevator in the first one, and then you can just pull me. What the hell happened to me there? I got sucked in.
All right, that woman there, that little thing that pops out.
Woman gave me the stuff.
I've been trolled by her so many times. It's unreal how many times she's trolled my run because she tries to grab me or something. And then we just go back to the lift that we came from. There's a chest here. Anything good in it? Nope, never is. Level 88 boots. And then when we're going up in the lift, oh, I fucking never mind. I want to teleport you up. I thought that was you. Oh, that's Neon's over there. You're not Neon. I'm still thinking you're Neon.
I mean, sorry. I mean, yeah, I'm Neon. This is the AI. This is definitely not me.
And swap back to Berserker from Pugilist.
Pugilist, yeah. Battle settings, triangle, this, Berserker. Done.
And then we'll go ahead and get the teleporter.
Yep.
Yeah, so we used things like traverse points for the...
Damned! I didn't get teleported again, even though I was in it with you. That's bullshit. I have to go. We can't go in at the same time. We have to go one at a time, single file, take a number.
All right, I can do this.
Yeah, thanks. Like, I was on it with you. We both got beamed up, Scotty, like it was Star Trek, but then I got left behind. Fucking scambroni, man.
Now this one, we don't have much mana going into it, as you see, because we haven't taken any fights. So we kind of have, we kind of like just kind of whale them as best we can. It's a skull fight.
Okay. Yeah.
And obviously getting your soul shields and that to try and build up some more mana so that you can try and get your brutals off and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
This fight is not a fun one, trust me.
No, he's never fun in any of the games, apart from that overhead linear attack at least. Right, give me some berserk, and then duff. Nice brutal tackle from there. Good. Okay, I got one brutal tackle off.
Nice.
Nice sword, pussy. Oh, I parried that. Screw you, dude.
Alright, you've got him. Alright, now this next phase is annoying. When people just tell me to twist his dick, he hasn't got a dick. He's lost it, alright? Because he does all this spinny nonsense.
Tackle. Oh, grab me. Uh-oh. They're so, like, not easy to see that it's a grab and not just that arm swing. No. No, dude. Beyblading bitch. Okay, let me reinforce this fucking bitch.
Alright.
Get fucked.
So yeah, we see why we hate him.
Yeah, reinforce is the goat there. You have to just spam reinforce and mash him down, because then you can tank the Beyblade and everything. I found.
And if you don't have a decent axe, he is an absolute beast to go through. Okay, so this now just obviously we go through another story.
Ogre Killer level 90. Ogre Killer level 90. Check your optimize.
I think I think that's mandatory after him, which is annoying because like he gives us the good axe, like you motherfucker.
Too late now, isn't it? Like
yeah, it's like well we need that before you. You're like you.
But your equipment level locked, right? You can't get a level 90 axe when you're level 10, right?
No, yeah, there's certain thresholds for it. But that's why we can smithy it up to a certain point to at least get to that threshold. So like if you're at level 50 axe, you might want to put up to like 60, 65 before getting to him, typically.
I see.
And then it's just Behemoth, then Astos, then done. So 2 missions left.
Okay.
I will invite you.
I'm doing Astos now. Like doing the cutscenes, sorry, I'm just skipping them now. And back on the map. Vigilia, hang on, what's it? Remembering Home, is that the next mission?
Yeah, I'm just going to invite you now. Okay, so I didn't get
I'm ready.
So that isn't a fixed thing. Nice, you got 90. So is it Behemoth that gives me the thingy one? I know one of them does. I swear one gives me a fixed axe. It might be Behemoth always gives me one.
This one apparently can give you Maverick Knuckles level 102. Jeez.
Alright, invite send. I'm selecting the mission because it has pre-selected side missions, so you can do one.
Yeah, we were aware of that now. Fool me once, shame on us.
It'll put you at Ogre Killer.
Yeah, doing it.
was gonna say because it said gigant axe. I was like, nah, get your chunky one.
Yeah, got it. I mean, the Gigant Axe, dude, you have no idea. I had like level 37 War Axe and a Dream yesterday. How underpowered I was. Compared to today, I feel like a tank in that respect. Like, I just managed to... Like, that Iron Giant guy hit me 3 or 4 times and didn't kill me. Vicky yesterday 2-shot me. Like...
Still good times. Still good times.
Yeah, like...
Alright, so we use the mage weapon for the most part for this. Flee.
Haste Gearing.
Thank you. The reason being is that all these little things here, and if you charge like RB, it should more or less one-shot these.
Are they required to break them to get through?
Yeah, they're all like barrier stuff. This way. Yeah, so turn around.
Yeah, I'm getting turned around. I'm just sorting out PC memes. Alright, we're back. This way, I think. Nope. This way. Yep. Rehasting.
Yeah, just going towards the left here.
Yep. That's me.
That is you, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can move the third person.
That's not... Well, we don't need to remove them. We need to fucking get Sancho online. That's what we need to do, dude.
I mean, to be fair, I should probably just get in the habit of just, like, getting...
We need to get him fired from the job he doesn't have. Okay? Because he needs more free time. And I'm pissed that he doesn't... I'm pissed that someone else that isn't me doesn't have enough free time. Are we supposed to be fighting these?
No. So I'm just basically breaking a generator in that room, and then we ran backwards the way we came in.
Yeah, following. Ow! Get off me, you cunt.
And then up that pillar, and then upstairs
face
the
fucked
left.
by a bat as I was about to do that.
That can happen.
Jesus. Fucking jump scared me, didn't you? Right and then down? Pray that that's correct. That looks correct.
Right, then straight across. Now there's 4 things to break here. 2 on the left, 2 on the right. If you go right, I'll go left.
Got it. Is it these pillars?
Yep. They all be things, yeah.
Got you.
And then we're just gonna leave that room again, because it'll break the barrier out here.
Done.
Lift on the left.
Yep, I'm in.
But yeah, things like that. Being able to split the load on things to do.
Yeah, stuff like that is where we'll save a lot of time in the run in general, aside from like skills.
This way. Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting good at the elevator haste because getting ready on those. This is the nicest level in the game.
It's nice, isn't it? It's quite open. This one, it's not so...
Yeah. I don't mind it being mazy if it's like a little bit more easy to see.
Yeah, some of them are quite narrow.
I was going to mention earlier that another one you'd really enjoy because of the combat flow is Lightning Returns. Because of the you have to just parry and like you have 3 classes that you switch between continually.
Never
you'd
played
like
it.
The combat of that. You'd like the combat of that. Imagine Majora's Mask with sort of a similar combat style to this, but the movement isn't as free. When you go into a battle, you can only strafe right and left a bit, so it's a bit clunky for that. It's a bit like if you had a little bit of movement in FF10 and you had a bit more real-time battles in FF10 or 10.2. It's a bit more like that. But it is good. I think you'd enjoy the combination of it, the way it works out.
All right, now I'm gonna blow these. Go through that room there, and there'll be a thing to blow up, and I'll get the other one this side.
Doing it.
because I can soul burst in that way.
Should they be the electric thing still,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, just hit the electric thing and we're good to go.
no? I mean, should I be using my Magister Axe for them, or should I use my
Use your Mage's Glove. I think generally if you do like the 3 charges on the R1, it's works quickest, I believe. Could
That's
be
what
wrong.
I was doing, so I was just checking.
Alright.
Yeah. Okay.
So
And only you can do the reset there with the where we get the mana back. If I talk to it, it just gives me the menu.
okay,
Like, where
good
I
to
can do
know.
battle settings.
So I can use that to use teleporting you from objectives.
Yeah, and I can't, so it's yeah.
Okay. Behemoth time.
Oh, cool! One of my favorite dudes. All right, let me see. Lunatic, Reinforce, Lightbringer, R1 spam. Ow. Brutal tackle. Oh!
Yes, he's gone. First phase down. Now he goes Crystal Beast version.
Oh, okay.
Or
Your dragon. Dragon. Another brutal tackle. Cyclone. Like Cyclone's pretty good on them.
agreed.
Nice.
I do like Cyclone. I think that's one of my favourite ones. The only problem is it's stationary, so you can get caught out sometimes.
I think a brutal tackle into. I was doing brutal tackle R1 into Cyclone so that the tackle gets me in, especially when he's pushed to the wall.
Alright.
Like battle routing is what I would specialize in this game, because I could optimize the boss fights once I know the tech. Like if I had the right loadout, I could work them boss fights in a way that if we put him into the corner, the Cyclones can't miss, and we could 3-man Cyclone it into the corner into oblivion. Sort of thing. Like I can already see some tech I could do with that with some of these bosses. Suffering of Fools, that's the last one, right? Or the one after that one?
That's the last one.
Okay, there you go.
Once this one's thingy, then we are finito. Let me just...
Oh, you can get so many good item drops in this mission as well. Hard Edge, Masamune, Genji, god damn it.
Now this one is a maze, and again, this one probably could be. I mean, actually no, because you can't soul burst things. This one can't be sped up anymore because you can't soul burst.
I can't. Yeah.
Otherwise, we could get.
That I can get.
Not really. No. It's one of those where it's kind of like this. You have to get to 3 different points, soul burst the things, and it'll open the big gate for us to go through. So, I guess let's make the most of this.
Okay.
If you follow me, now this one is a tricky traversal because you can fall off quite easily.
Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Luckily, it's like you fall off, you get walked back. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not. There's no big drama to it, but like.
Down or no? Okay.
Yeah, I got you. I take those for the mana anyway because we need just to be able to cast or read stuff again.
Well, I was like ahead of you, so I was just kind of guessworking, and I was just like, oh, I wonder if it's this way, and then you teleported me anyway. What happened to me? I think I got warped.
Oh, did you go through the teleport with me this time?
I guess I did. Okay, I thought that was pulling me back somewhere. Oh, an Ahriman. Ow.
Alright, that's that one. And then we go back towards the teleporter. And then through the next teleporter.
Yeah, them ones actually, as soon as you get on it, it pulls us.
Okay, that's sweet. That's good to
Not
know.
like the fake-ass ones in the last chapter.
These little spikes in the ground will hit you. Just be mindful. Now I want to get lost again. I swear I am. I know I am. Let's go right, up. Then we go down here.
Oh, I got knocked off the edge. I think I'm going the right way.
I will grab you if not.
I'm with you. No, I'm somewhat.
Actually, you know what? To be
still.
fair, we've got enough thing. Let's just go.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Run past the Mind Flayer and through the teleport.
Yep.
Can you not grab me when I'm trying to do soul burst? Asshat.
I will sort him.
Alright, and then we go back through. Basically, this one is to do 3 of these. You get three different locations for these things, and then it will take us to the boss.
Okay.
I remember doing this for the first time. It was the most confusing thing. I spent ages running around aimlessly.
Literally, dude, they should just put a freaking mini-map in the top right corner with, like, FF10 with the glowing red thing that shows you which way to go. It would be so much... It's a good game anyway and doesn't need the obnoxious level design to pad it out. Just let people know where to go and they will play it more, trust me. If, you know, I feel like that is a defining thing of why... If this game didn't do well, that was why.
I mean, I think there's one of a few reasons. Like, I mean, most Final Fantasy hardcore people are like, well, no, that's not Final Fantasy, even though most people like Final Fantasy 15 and 16 now, which are looking to play more ATB combat style, but you know, not easily like this.
It's the same as the Resi fan base, you know, half it's divisive between the slow-paced combat ones and the new action RE4 Leon stuff, you know.
And then we go to the main gate.
Same way. Yeah, I'm with you. Oh, okay. You know, you were saying about the menuing inputs?
Mm-hmm.
I accidentally hit R2 twice, and it actually decided to register both of those inputs, but I didn't want to hit R2 twice. So two berserks that were unintended, but okay. Doesn't matter.
Alright. Now Astos. So...
This is the final boss of our run?
This is the final boss of our run.
Okay. Hopefully should be good for a sub 2 here. Okay, lunatic. Oh my god, wow! I couldn't even fucking move. This, yeah.
Astos, you mean before? What? Whoa. Astos. We're supposed to be mates.
I would imagine he's kinda tough.
Not usually. Like, all these things are things I've never seen before. That's it on him. What? Soul burst. Yeah. All these things I'm seeing now are things like I don't see because it's just usually he doesn't get to play.
Maybe he's a scaling.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a bit of that in this.
Like, because this is the co-op one, so he's a bit tougher than you are used to. Like when I was doing, me and Alan did seamless co-op in Elden Ring, and it was just like, oh gosh, stuff is a bit tankier than we expect. Even like Godric or someone was like actually a kind of tough. Oh gosh, Ultima, yeah, I forgot they do that. Nice retcon. Ay. Okay. No, leave me 1 second, dude.
Okay.
This should do him. There you go.
And that should be split for it.
Probably when he's actually dead. Like,
that's the last input we have on it, technically.
True, but for me it's the boss is now dead, so now I'm splitting. Okay. Now I have to... Oh, yeah, let's open Chrome. Definitely meant to do that. I definitely didn't want to click on live split. Sure. Control, I guess, and split. Right, then close Chrome. It's just right next to. I have them pinned, Chrome and Live Split, and it's right next to each other, and I just was a hair away. There you go. They go 151 with somewhat like the first 10 minutes were good. The next 10 minutes were tragic, and then the rest of the run was fine. Basically, I just didn't really like that part where I'm getting fucking bewildered and lost in that damn castle early on, and was going the wrong fucking way. But other than that, the rest of the run went like really well. Like we plowed the second. I mean, that's what I was expecting, is to absolutely plow the second half of it, especially compared to yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. That's just it. Like I said, the very first part, it's trying to you're managing a lot. It's not even just trying to do traversal. Once that's out of the way and you can just do the traversal bit, it's a little bit more forgiving. And then later on, the boss is just obviously just memed on us for the sake of it. So I think we had a good middle game. Terrible start. More so, not a terrible start. We had an okay start. Decent mid.